I just wanted to show that the dress, the crochet dress, will also fit a baby about 3 to 6 months of age. If you like this security blanket, there's a separate video tutorial for that on my YouTube channel. Here's the back of the dress. You can place whatever buttons that you want. I chose these elephant buttons. Just be aware that these type of buttons, they're decorative, but sometimes they can snag on the crochet work. And here's a close-up of Blossom. She turned out adorable with her dress. There's a separate video tutorial for the crochet dress and also for the cherry blossom flower. And here's the back of the dress. And there's also a separate video tutorial for the rabbit. This is my cute large crochet bunny rabbit. And I also have a written pattern that's available on my new blog, www.helenmaycrochet.com. The yarn I'm using is a light pink by Karen 1 pound, the soft 1 pound baby yarn. The other yarn that I'm using is Bernat Softy Baby. Here's some information about this yarn. It's a light 3 and the color is Lavender Lullaby. For this crochet pattern, you're going to need your 4mm crochet hook as well as your 6mm crochet hook, your tapestry needle, and a pair of scissors. We're going to start with the top front portion of the dress. You're going to need your 4mm crochet hook. Go ahead and get the color that you want for the top part of your dress. I'm using a light pink color. You're going to take your yarn, you're just going to fold it over on itself to form a loop. Take your crochet hook, go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and your thumb. Then you're just going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch the knot in place and then around the hook, not too tight, not too loose. We're going to make a chain. I'm just going to show you 4 chains on video tutorial. Just going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4. So for mine, I have a chain of 41. For this stitch pattern, you're going to need a multiple of 2 plus 1 stitch. This stitch pattern that I'm going to show you is called the vis-a-vis stitch pattern. So after you have 41 stitches, then you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So take your crochet hook, go into the second chain, bring up a loop, make your single crochet, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch back across. So 1 single crochet in each stitch back across and then come back. This is what my work looks like so far. Now you're going to take and chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to get ready for the second row. But before I do that, I'm just going to measure this for you for those that are using either a different hook size or different yarn style. So after you make your chain of 3, go ahead and turn your work. And you're going to see this upslope here at the base of the stitch. You're not going to work your stitch into there. You're going to go, this is your next stitch. But in this pattern, you're going to skip the next stitch and then make a V-stitch into the next stitch. So you're going to yarn over, you're going to skip that next stitch and then work a V-stitch into the next stitch. So you're going to make your double crochet, then you're going to chain 1 and then double crochet into the same stitch. So just yarn over, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, and then make your double crochet. So then you're going to skip a stitch and then work another V-stitch into the next stitch. So you just yarn over, skip a stitch, then work your V-stitch into the next stitch. And you're going to repeat this pattern all the way across. Skip a stitch and then work a V-stitch into the next stitch. So I'm going to work one more with you. So I'm going to skip a stitch, make a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, and then double crochet into the same stitch, and repeat. So go ahead, finish making your V-stitches all the way across. Now I've reached the end, and you can see all the pretty V-stitches that I created across. Now here it's difficult to see that stitch on the end. So here you can see the last stitch. So you're going to skip a stitch and then work a double crochet in that last stitch. So you're always going to start with the chain 3 and then end with your double crochet. So for the next row you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, then turn your work, and now you're going to make your V-stitches into the chain 1 space of the previous row's V-stitch. So here's the previous row's V-stitch and then the chain 1. So you're going to go in that chain 1 space and then create your V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet into the same space to complete your V-stitch. So then you go into the next chain 1 space and repeat. And you're going to repeat making the V-stitches all the way across into each of the chain 1 spaces and then come back. So this is what it looks like after completing my second row. So we're going to be making a total of 4 rows. So far we've made 2, so we need 2 more. And again, you always start with the chain of 3. Then turn your work. And then you're going to make your V-stitch into the chain 1 space of the previous row. So go ahead, repeat this for 2 more rows, and then come back. So now, after you finish your 4th row of V-stitches, go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring enough yarn through to bury into your work. Now before we join for the top portion, I'm going to show you the measurement for this. So I'm going to measure it in centimeters for you in case you have a different yarn or crochet hook size that you're using. So mine is approximately 28.5 centimeters. And then the length is approximately 5.5 centimeters. Now, with the right side facing towards you, you're going to go to the right side of your work and you're going to count in 1, 2, 3, 4 V-stitches, and that's where you're going to join the same colored yarn right into the chain 1 space. Go ahead and chain 1 and then just tie a knot. Then you're going to make a chain of 3 to start. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to make a V-stitch into the same chain 1 space. So just yarn over, go into the same chain 1 space, bring up a loop, and make your double crochet. Then chain 1 and make a double crochet into the same stitch. And I went behind my loose yarn end. I'm going to bury it as I crochet. So I finished my chain 3 and my V-stitch into the same chain 1 space. Now I'm going to go into the next chain 1 space and just create a V-stitch. And then you're going to create a V-stitch in every stitch across. Now you want to leave the last 3 V-stitches open. So when you get to the end, leave your last 3 V-stitches open and then come back. So this is what my work looks like. This is where I started. I have my V-stitches going across, and then I left the last 3 unworked. Now I'm going to make, I finished my last V-stitch, but I want to make a double crochet into that same chain 1 space, just like how we started. So you're going to make a double crochet into the same chain 1 space. Then you can chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work. Then you're just going to resume making your V-stitch into each of the chain 1 spaces. All the way across, and then come back. Okay, so I just finished my last V-stitch on that row, and now you want to make a double crochet into the top stitch of that last double crochet stitch on the end. Then you're ready to chain 3 and move up to the next row. And then you're just going to repeat the V-stitches. So here you can see what it's looking like. So go ahead, finish another row of the V-stitches all the way across. Now, after you finish your 3rd row, you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And now we're going to make the back pieces. So I've already made one of the back pieces, but before we move on, I just want to give you some measurements. So now the length is approximately 8 centimeters for the front. And then the back piece, we're going to make 2 of these, but the measurement is about 13.5 centimeters by 11.5 centimeters. So we're going to start by making a chain. So again, you're going to fold the yarn over on itself. Hold the loop with the middle finger and thumb, then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the loop for your slip knot. Now you're going to make a chain of 21. I'm just going to show you 4 of them. Yarn over, go through the hook for 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead, make a chain of 21 and then come back. So after you finish your chain of 21, you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook, and then just make one single crochet into every stitch back across. Then, after you finish your last single crochet, you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work. Then you're going to skip the next stitch and make your V-stitch into the next stitch, just like we've done on the front panel. So again, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the same stitch to complete a V-stitch. Then you skip a stitch and then make another V-stitch. And then you're just going to repeat this all the way across to the end. So now I'm all the way to the end, and I have my last 2 stitches. I'm going to skip a stitch and make a double crochet into the end stitch. Then I'm going to chain 3 and move up to the next row. And we need 4 rows of the V-stitches. So again, you make your V-stitch into the chain 1 space of the previous row's V-stitch. And go ahead, repeat this pattern. Remember, you chain 3 to start, and then you'll end with a double crochet on the end. And you're going to need 4 rows of the V-stitches, and then come back. So I finished 4 rows of the V-stitches. This is what my work looks like. Then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Then this is the right side. So I have the right side facing up, and I'm going to join it from the right side. So you're going to count over 4 V-stitches. Then you're just going to join your yarn into that 4th V-stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how I've already joined the yarn. Then you're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to make a V-stitch into the same stitch. And I'm going behind my loose yarn end. So I finished a chain 3 and a V-stitch into the same stitch. Then you can go ahead and make a V-stitch into the next chain 1 space. And then you're going to repeat that all the way across. Then, when you reach the end, go ahead and make a double crochet into that last stitch, which should be the double crochet on the end. Then you chain 3, turn your work, and then you're going to repeat. So you need a total of 4 rows. So this, we've already completed 1. So now you need 3 more rows completed the same way. So now you can see I have 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, but we're going to actually complete 1 more row. So go ahead and chain 3, turn your work, and just make your V-stitches across for your 5th row. So we're actually going to have 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is our 5th row. So here's what my work looks like, and I just finished my last V-stitch and double crochet on the end. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. So now you need 2 of these. They're made the exact same way. They're going to be the back panels. So here you can see mine. I have the right panel here and the left panel here. And they can flip, so it doesn't matter left or right. You just flip them to make them the right side. Now once you're finished with your back panels, go ahead and set those aside. And now you're going to go back to your front panel, and the right side is going to be facing up, and you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to put it right into that top right stitch in the corner, and you're going to join your yarn. We're going to make the shoulder straps. So you just take and join your yarn. So just chain one and then tie a knot. So now you can go ahead and just leave the loose yarn ends for now. We're going to catch those when we make the border for the top. But for now, go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to make a V-stitch into the next 4 stitches. Chain 1 spaces, I mean, not stitches. You're going to make 1 V-stitch in each of the next 4 chain 1 spaces. So you should have a total of 4 V-stitches when you're finished. So here you can see how I finished 4 V-stitches. Now you're just going to turn your work, and then you're going to skip that first chain 1 space and make a double crochet into the second chain 1 space. So go into the second chain 1 space and make your double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1 and then double crochet into the same space. Then you're going to make a V-stitch into the next 2 chain 1 spaces. So a V-stitch into the next 2 chain 1 spaces. Then you're going to make a double crochet into that last stitch, which should be a double crochet stitch from the previous row. Then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work. Then you're going to make 1 V-stitch into each of the next 3 chain 1 spaces. So 1 V-stitch into the next 3 chain 1 spaces, and then come back. Then you can go ahead and double crochet into the same chain 1 space. Then chain 3 and repeat. So you want to make 3 additional rows. So not counting the one we just finished, you need 3 more rows made the exact same way. A V-stitch into each of the chain 1 spaces, I mean. So a V-stitch in each of the chain 1 spaces and end with the double crochet and start with the chain 3 for 3 additional rows. Then you can go ahead and finish off. So just yarn over and pull enough yarn through. Actually, you can go ahead and pull enough yarn through to sew it to the back. So I'm going to bring enough yarn through to sew the strap onto the back panel. And I just want to show you, so here was our initial row of the 4 V-stitches, and then we turned and made 3, and then we made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional rows for the one side. Now we're going to repeat this on the opposite side. So you want to go ahead and join. Let's see, we're going to join, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So here 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to join into the 4th one with our new yarn. So 4 V-stitches over 1, 2, 3, 4, and join your yarn on the opposite side. So now we're going to make the strap on the opposite side, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn our work, so that the wrong side is facing us, and we're going to join in that far right corner. So join your yarn into the top stitch of that double crochet on the end. So now you're going to chain 3 and then make a V-stitch into the next 4 chain 1 spaces. So 1 V-stitch into each of the next 4 chain 1 spaces, and then come back. Then you're just going to turn your work, and you're just going to make a V-stitch into the next chain 1 space. So a V-stitch into the next chain 1 space. And then you're just going to repeat until you have the same size strap as on the opposite side. Then, when both of your straps, go back the wrong way, both the straps are equal, then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the strap onto the back. So now we're going to get our back panels, and we're going to attach the front to the back. But first I'm going to give you some measurements. So again, the length across the bottom front is approximately 27 inches. And then from the top of the strap to the bottom is approximately 17.5 centimeters. So that's centimeters, 17.5 centimeters. And this is 27 centimeters. And then the front here is approximately 9 centimeters. And then this shorter portion up here is approximately 21 centimeters. And the straps themselves are approximately 5 centimeters. So now just lay the front piece down, and then you're going to take each of your back pieces and lay them on top of the front piece so that it makes an L and then a backwards L on the left side. So just like this. Then you're going to take your tapestry needle with the long end that you left for sewing, or just get the same colored yarn, and you're going to take and bend the strap over, and you're just going to sew the strap in place. So you just go through the stitch, and then you go through the stitch on the strap, and then you just sew it in place. All the way across. Then when you reach the end, go ahead and tie a knot. And then you're going to want to bury your work, your yarns. Just go in and out, just burying the loose yarn end. And you can also go through your work. And then I like to go 2 different directions. And then just trim the loose yarn end. So go ahead and sew the other strap in place the exact same way. Then after you finish sewing the straps, you're going to take each of the sides and then sew each of the sides in place as well. So just along each side, you just take and go in and out, sewing the 2 pieces together. And for mine, I like to, as soon as I get to the end, I just like to double back and then just tie a knot with the loose yarn ends. So now I've sewed both sides together and the strap, so you can turn it so that the right side is facing towards you, so just turn it inside out. And then you have the front, then turn it over, and you have the right side of the back, and here's where the straps went on top. Now we're going to put the buttonholes in, so you're just going to take and join. So here is the right side of the back. We're going to put the buttonholes on this side. So you're going to go ahead and take and join your yarn. Then you're going to take your loose yarn ends and put them to the side because you're going to be burying them as you crochet. And then you're going to go into the space below the double crochet, go behind the loose yarn ends, bring up a loop, and then make a single crochet. And you're going to place 2 single crochet into the same space. And then you're going to go into the next space over and make 1 single crochet. So you're going to evenly space the single crochets up. And actually this is a double crochet, so you're going to place 2 single crochet into the same space. So you have 2 single crochet in the first double crochet space, and then 2 in the second. And then this is a double crochet on its side, and then this is the space below it. So that's where I'm talking about placing your 2 single crochet. So you're going to do that all the way up the side, the back side, where we're going to be placing our buttons. So I finished going all the way up the side, and now I'm ready to go back down to make my button loops. And this is where you need to decide where you want to place your buttons and what buttons that you're going to use. So I'm going to use these adorable elephant buttons. They have a large loop where I can fit my tapestry needle through. And then these buttons are by Dress It Up. So now I'm just going to take and sew my button on first before I continue on the other side. That way I know where I want my button loops. So now this is what my button looks, both my buttons look like after sewing them on. And this is the back. So now for the button loops, you want to make your button loop large enough to go around your button. So you're going to make a chain. 1, 2. For mine I made a chain of 7, and then I'm just going to take and turn my work and skip 2 stitches and then slip stitch into that 3rd stitch. So just yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. And then you're going to make a single crochet until you get to the next spot where you want to place your button loop. So for mine, you can see here's my first button loop, and then I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now I'm at my next button loop. So I made 1 single crochet into 6 stitches, and then I'm going to make my chain of 7. Then I'm going to skip 2 stitches and make a slip stitch into the next stitch. Then I'm going to finish making a single crochet in every stitch down to the end. Then you're going to make a chain of 1, turn your work, and you're just going to make 1 single crochet into the next stitch and every stitch back to your first chain loop. Then you're going to place the number of single crochet that you made for the chain. So since my chain was 7, I'm going to make 7 single crochet into my button loop, and that will just strengthen it. So depending on what size you made for your button loop is the number of single crochet that you'll place into your button loop. And then you just continue one single crochet across to your next button loop all the way to the top. Then you finished your button loops, and now you're going to go across the top. So you're just going to turn your work, and you're just going to place one single crochet into every stitch around. And in the chain one spaces, you can go down into the chain one space and make the single crochet into the chain one space if you need to. So we're just going to make a single crochet in every stitch for the border. And then in some of the corners, I'll let you know if I make any other additional stitches, but I'm planning on making just one single crochet in every stitch. If you go across any of the double crochets that are on their side, you're just going to make two single crochet into those spaces. So any of the double crochets that are on their side, like this one, then you just make two single crochets in those spaces. Here's my button loops. I went across here with one single crochet in every stitch, and then two single crochet into each of the double crochet spaces. So when you get to the corners at the bottom of the top, you want to place two single crochet into the same stitch. So this is along the bottom of this top portion, and I'm at the corner here, and I place two single crochet in the corner, and then in the next stitch along the bottom, I'm also going to place two single crochet into the same stitch. And what that does is it helps to keep that corner lying flat by putting two single crochet instead of one into each of those two stitches. And then you can continue just making one single crochet in every other stitch. And this is how mine's looking so far. It's looking really good. Then I just wanted to show you that this is how I caught all of my loose yarn ends. So I just take, and as I ran across a loose yarn end, I just took and buried it as I made my border around. Then when you reach your last stitch, go ahead and make a slip stitch into the next stitch, and then just finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And then you're going to want to join in the armhole and repeat the same thing. So you're just going to go around, and I'm going to go behind any loose yarn ends and just make one single crochet in every stitch. And if I run across a double crochet, then I will make two single crochet into the double crochet space, but then one single crochet into every other space around the armhole. So now this is what mine looks like. I've got the border all around the armhole and around the front and the bottom. And I'm just going to show you how I buried the loose yarn end. So this is the right side. Just flip it over so that you have the wrong side showing. Then just take your tapestry needle and just weave the loose yarn end through your work. And I like to go a couple of different directions, make sure it's nice and buried. Then just take and trim the loose yarn end. And then now we're ready to start for the bottom portion of the dress. So you can leave the buttons buttoned at this point, and you're going to start on the button hole, the button loop side, and just join your yarn right on the edge of the bottom of that side, the back side. I'm going to be joining with my alternate color, which is the Bernat Softy Baby The color is Lavender Lullaby. So you can decide what color you want to go on this edge. I'm going to go ahead and use my alternate color at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up a loop. And then I'm going to tie a knot. Make sure you leave enough of a loose yarn end. So now you have your loose yarn end. Go ahead and hold the loose yarn end to the side. We're going to bury it as we crochet. So you can go ahead and chain 2. And then you're going to make 1 half double crochet into the next 3 stitches because we want a total of 4. So that first chain 2 counts as your first half double crochet. Now yarn over and bring the yarn through all 3 loops for a half double crochet, and you're going to make 1 half double crochet again. Counting that first one, you want a total of 4. And then you're going to make 2 half double crochet into the next stitch. So this is an increase round, meaning that we're going to increase the number of stitches in the round. So then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. I'm going to make one more set with you. 1 half double crochet into the next 4 stitches. And then you're going to make 2 half double crochet into the 5th stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the opposite side, and then come back. On the opposite side, I ended with 1 half double crochet into 4 stitches. Now I'm going to make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first half double crochet that we made, or the chain 2. So the top stitch of that chain 2, just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Now we're going to get ready for the next round. So then after you join with a slip stitch, you're going to chain 2 for the next round. And I had 100 stitches in the round. And since we want a multiple of 12 plus 2 before we start our next design, we're going to make another increase round. So you're going to make 1 half double crochet into 9 stitches and then 2 half double crochet into the 10th stitch. So this first chain 2 counts as 1. You're going to make a half double crochet into the second. So go ahead, make 1 half double crochet into 9 stitches and then come back. So now you just want to make sure you have a total of 9, counting that first chain 2. So I have a total of 9 half double crochet. Now you're going to make 2 half double crochet into the 10th stitch. And then you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. 1 half double crochet into 9 stitches and then 2 half double crochet into your 10th stitch. So now I finished my last half double crochet and I have exactly 110 stitches, which is what I want. Go ahead and make a slip stitch into that top stitch of that first chain 2 that you made. So that is a multiple of 12 plus 2 stitches, which is what we want for this design. Then you're going to get your pink color, or the same color that you had for the top. And then we're going to join that color. So you're going to bring up a loop with your new color. Make sure you leave enough of a loose yarn end. Then you can take and cut the previous color and then just tie a knot. Now you want to turn your work so that the wrong side is facing you. So the wrong side is facing me. So now you're just going to make it so that your work, the wrong side is facing you. So here you can see this is the right side. I have the wrong side facing me. And you're going to chain 1, Then skip the next stitch and make a single crochet into the next stitch. I'm going behind my loose yarn ends. So you're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch and make a single crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to repeat this all the way around back to the beginning. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and then make a single crochet into the next stitch, and then repeat all the way back to the beginning. So now you can just make a slip stitch into that first stitch that you have on the opposite side after you made a chain of 1. Just make your slip stitch, and then we're going to start using our 6mm crochet hook. And then go ahead and turn your work so that the right side is facing you. So now the right side is facing you as you crochet. Now we're going to single crochet into the first single crochet on the previous round. Then you're going to chain 1 and then skip the skipped stitch or chain 1 on the previous row and make a single crochet into the single crochet stitch of the previous round. So now you're going to make a chain of 1, and then you're going to skip the next chain 1 space and work a treble crochet into the next chain 1 space. You're going to yarn over twice. You're going to go into that second chain 1 space, bring up a loop, make your treble crochet, then you're going to chain 1. You're going to make another treble crochet into the same space, so the same chain 1 space, and we're going to repeat this for a total of 4 times. So a treble, chain 1, and then treble for a total of 4 times in the same chain 1 space. This is what mine looks like so far. So now you're going to skip the next chain 1 space, and you're going to single crochet into the next chain 1 space. Then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to make a single crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and then single crochet into the next chain 1 space. So now you're going to skip the next chain 1 space and make a treble into the second chain 1 space. Chain 1 and repeat 4 times, total times, into the same chain 1 space just like you did over here. And then you're going to make the 3 single crochet in between just like you did before. So skip the next chain 1 space, make a single crochet into the next chain 1 space, then chain 1, single crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and single crochet into the third chain 1 space, and then repeat. So you're just going to repeat this pattern all the way around. So again, you're going to skip the next chain 1 space, make a treble into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and then make a total of the 4 treble with a chain 1 in between each, and just repeat this pattern all the way around. So now you can see that I finished with my 3 single crochet with the chain 1 in between each. Now I'm going to make a double crochet into the first single crochet. So here are our 4 trebles, and then here's our first single crochet. You're going to make a double crochet into that first single crochet stitch. Let me yarn over. Then you're going to chain 1, and then double crochet into the first treble. So yarn over, go into that first treble, and make a double crochet. So you can see how we had a double crochet in the first single crochet, chain 1, and then a double crochet into the first treble stitch. Then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to work a double crochet into the next treble, chain 1, and then double crochet into the same treble, and then chain 1. And you're going to repeat that in the second treble, or the next treble. I should say third. So the first one was just a double crochet, chain 1, and then in the second treble you have a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and you're going to repeat that into the third treble. So double crochet, chain 1, in the same treble you're going to double crochet again, and then chain 1. Then you're going to double crochet into the last treble, and then chain 1, and then double crochet into the single crochet, the first single crochet. And then chain 1. So I just want to make sure that you get into the right stitch. This is the first single crochet and then the chain 1. You want to make sure you get into that single crochet stitch with your double crochet, and then chain 1. So then you're just going to make a single crochet into the next single crochet, the middle single crochet stitch, and then double crochet into that last single crochet stitch, and then you're going to double crochet into the first treble stitch, so make sure you get into that treble stitch, so double crochet into that stitch, and then you have the two middle treble stitches, so you chain 1 and then double crochet into that next treble, then chain 1 and then double crochet into that treble stitch, and then you're going to repeat that into the third treble. So in the third treble you're going to double crochet, then you're going to chain 1 and then double crochet into the same treble stitch, just like you did for the previous one. Then you're going to chain 1 and then double crochet. Oh, I went into the chain 1 space, so make sure you get into the treble. So you'll chain 1 after you make your double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, you chain 1, and then you want to get into the treble stitch. Make your double crochet, then chain 1, double crochet, then you're going to chain 1 again, and then in the last treble stitch you're just going to make a double crochet, then go ahead and chain 1 and then double crochet into the first single crochet, and again you want to make sure you get into the single crochet stitch and not the chain 1 space next to it. Then chain 1 and then make a single crochet into the middle single crochet stitch, Then you're going to make a double crochet into the next single crochet stitch, and then repeat. So you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around back to the beginning. So now I'm back to the beginning, and I ended with the single crochet right in that middle stitch, and this is how my work looks so far. So for mine, I'm going to count these little loops. So starting, here's my buttons. I'm going to count these spokes around. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 of them on mine. And then now I'm going to change colors. I'm going to change back to my variegated colored yarn. So I'm going to bring up a loop with my new color, and then just tie a knot, and then cut your previous color, and then make sure you leave enough of a loose yarn end for burying later. And then I'm going to crochet around the loose yarn ends as I crochet. So here I just want to show you that we have 2 double crochets before you get to the 2 double crochet in the same stitch in the next 2 stitches, and then you have your last 2 double crochet on the end there. So we're going to be working a double triple crochet into that first double. So you're going to yarn over 3 times with your new color, and then you're going to go into that first double crochet stitch and bring up a loop. I'm going behind my loose yarn ends. So now I have 5 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. And I'm just going to slightly pull on my, actually I'm going to go ahead and pull out the loose yarn ends. I'll have to bury those later. You can see them. So I always try to bury my loose yarn ends, but that's only if you can't see them. Those you can see, so we'll just bury those later. Now you're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch. So just yarn over, go into the next stitch, and make your double crochet. So you made a double triple crochet into that first double crochet from the previous round, and then a double crochet into the next double crochet from the previous round. Now you're going to make your chain 1, and then double crochet into the next double crochet from the previous round, and then you're going to chain 1 again, but this time you're going to make a single crochet into the next double crochet from the previous round, and then you're going to chain 1 and then double crochet into the next double crochet from the previous round. Then you're going to chain 1 and then single crochet into the next double crochet. Then that brings you to your last 2 double crochet from the previous round. So we're going to make a double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet into the next double crochet. Then chain 1, and then make a treble crochet into that last double crochet. So yarn over twice, go into that next double crochet, bring up a loop, and then yarn over and go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through the 2 remaining loops. And this is how my work looks. So I'm going to be doing a few of these with you, just a couple, so you get the hang of it and know how to crochet it. But you know that you're doing it correctly because the pattern is always going to be the same for the spoke. So what I mean by the spoke is you have these 2 double crochets, and then you have the pairs of double crochets in the next 2, and then you have the last 2 double crochets. So those will always be worked the same. So then that leaves you with your next stitches. So here we're going to be working into the 3 stitches. So here is the double crochet stitch, and then the chain 1, and then your next double crochet. So you want to make sure you know which stitch is for the double crochet, because you're not going to use that one. You're going to be using the 3 stitches in the center. So we're going to be making a double triple crochet cluster over these 3 stitches. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take and yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. You're going to go into that next stitch, and you can go under it if you need to, and then bring up a loop. And then you have 5 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, and then you have 2 loops remaining. Then you're going to yarn over 3 times, and then you're going to go into that next stitch, which is your second stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So now you have 3 loops remaining on your hook. Yarn over 3 times, and then go into that third stitch. And then bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. And then you have 3 loops remaining. Yarn over and go through the 3 remaining loops, and then you completed your double, triple crochet cluster. So now you're going to yarn over twice, and you're going to make a treble crochet into that first double crochet on the spoke. And then you're going to make into the next space, you're going to chain 1 and then make a double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1 and then double crochet into the next double crochet, chain 1 and then single crochet into the next double crochet from the previous row or round, chain 1, double crochet into the next double crochet, chain 1 and then single crochet. And then that will leave you with your 2 remaining double crochet. And this is how it's looking so far. Then you're going to chain 1 and then make a double crochet into the next double crochet from the previous round. Then chain 1 and then make yarn over twice to make your treble crochet into the last double crochet on the spoke. And then you're just going to repeat this pattern all the way around. I'm going to make one more with you. So now we're ready for our double triple crochet cluster. And so it can be a little bit tricky, so I just want to make sure how I look at it is I look at my spoke. So we know that we need the 2 double crochet to start. So that would be this stitch. Let me bring the video in. So you have this double crochet stitch right here, and then you have this double crochet stitch, and then you have your 2 pairs here, and then the last 2. So here again is the first double crochet. So the stitches before, you have 1, 2, and 3. So in these 3 stitches we're going to be making our double triple crochet cluster. So you're going to take, I'm going to back up so you can follow along. So now you're going to yarn over 3 times, So yarn over 3 times. You're going to go into, and rather than go in the stitch, you can go below it if you need to. Bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So you have 2 loops remaining. Then go ahead and yarn over 3 times, and then you're going into that middle stitch. Bring up a loop, then yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over 3 times, and then go into that next stitch. Bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. Then you have 3 loops remaining. Yarn over and go through all 3 remaining loops. Then you're going to make a treble crochet into that first double crochet on the spoke. So yarn over twice, go into that first double crochet on the spoke, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. Then you can chain 1 and then double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, double crochet into the next double crochet. And at this point you've reached your pairs, so you know that the next one you're going to chain 1 and make a single crochet into the next double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the next pair. So if this isn't lining up like this, then you know that you've missed a stitch somewhere, so you have to go back and correct it. So then you chain 1 and then single crochet in the next double crochet, and it's creating this beautiful pattern with the alternate color. Then you're going to chain 1 and then double crochet into the next double crochet stitch on the spoke, then chain 1 and then treble crochet, yarn over twice, and treble crochet into that last double crochet on the spoke. And then you're able to repeat that pattern all the way around. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So go ahead, repeat this pattern all the way around. Now I just finished my last double triple crochet cluster for the round, and it brings me back to my initial spoke. So I'm going to go ahead and make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first treble that we have. So getting into the stitch, go ahead and yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook, and now you're ready to join your next colored, the same color as the previous colored yarn. Now after you join your new color, you're going to chain 1 and then you're going to skip a stitch and then make a single crochet into the chain 1 space. And I'm going to go around my loose yarn ends. And then you're going to chain 1 and then you're going to go into the next chain 1 space. Then you're going to look, because we're going to center our spokes directly over the spokes from the previous round. So that would fall about right here in that chain 1 space. So in that chain 1 space, you're going to be making a treble crochet. So I'm just going to leave my loose yarn ends for now. So I'm going to yarn over twice, go into that chain 1 space, bring up a loop, and then I have 4 loops on my hook. And then you're going to yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. Then you're going to chain 1 and then treble in that same space until you have a total of 4. So chain 1, treble until you have a total of 4 in that chain 1 space. So then you could see how it lines up directly with the previous round's spokes. Then you're going to skip the next chain 1 space and then single crochet into the next chain 1 space, then chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch. And you're going to keep chaining 1, skip a stitch, single crochet until you get to the next spoke. So here's spoke, here's your next spoke. So you're going to keep chaining 1 and single crochet, skip a stitch, and then into the next one until you get to the next spoke. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. Now we're back to the beginning. You can see how I finished up with 3 single crochet. And then on the opposite side, where I started, I have 2 single crochet. I'm going to make a single crochet into that first single crochet on the opposite side to join the round. Then you're going to make a double crochet into that next single crochet. Then you're going to chain 1 and make a double crochet into the first treble crochet on the spoke. So you have 4 treble on the spoke. In that first treble you're going to make a double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1, and then this is where you make the pattern into the next 2 treble crochets. So you're going to double crochet into that next treble, chain 1, double crochet into the same stitch. So you can see how we did a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into that one of the first 2 middle treble crochets from the previous round. So again, you're going to chain 1, and you're going to repeat that into the next treble. So you're going to have a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the same stitch, and you see how you're recreating the same pattern that you had from the previous round's same colored yarn. So now you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to double crochet into that last treble on the spoke. This is how my work looks so far. I'm just going to back up so you can see the whole thing. So here you can see how you're recreating the same pattern from the previous round. So now we're going to chain 1 again, and then you're going to double crochet into the first single crochet. So here you can see all of the single crochets in between the next spoke. So you're going to make a double crochet into that first single crochet, then you're going to make a single crochet into the next single crochet stitch, then we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together twice. So you're going to go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, then yarn over and go through all 3 for a single crochet 2 stitches together or a decrease stitch. Then you're going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, and then the next stitch, bring up a loop, and then yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. Then you can see that you have 3 single crochet stitches left. So you're going to skip this next single crochet and make a single crochet into the next single crochet stitch. Then you're going to make a double crochet into the next single crochet space. Then you're going to chain 1. And now we've reached our spoke. So in that first spoke, we're going to make a double crochet. So we're going to repeat the same thing that we did for the previous spoke. I'm going to go ahead and work this one with you. So you're going to make a double crochet into that first spoke. Then you're going to chain 1. And then you should be at the 2 middle treble crochets from the previous round. You're going to make a double crochet into that next treble. You're going to chain 1 and then double crochet into the same stitch. Then you're going to chain 1 and then you're going to repeat into the next spoke. Chain 1 and then double crochet into the same stitch. Now you're going to make a chain of 1. You're going to double crochet into that last treble of the spoke. Chain 1 and then double crochet into that first single crochet stitch. Then it brings you to that middle portion with all of the single crochets. So remember, you're going to make a single crochet into the next single crochet stitch, and then that's going to bring us to our decrease stitches. And remember, we need those last 2 single crochet to work our stitches into. So we know that we need those 2. So we're going to start making our decrease stitches. We're going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, and then yarn over and go through all 3 for your first decrease stitch. Then you're going to go into the next one, bring up a loop, go into the next one, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. And then that leaves you with the 3 single crochet. You're going to skip the next single crochet and make a single crochet into the next stitch. Then you're going to make a double crochet into the next single crochet stitch. Then you're going to chain 1, and that's going to bring you to your spoke. So you're going to make a double crochet into the first treble crochet from that previous round. Chain 1, and then that brings you to your middle. So that's how you crochet this pattern around. So go ahead, finish this round, and then come back. When you reach the beginning where you started, and here's my buttons, you'll see that I made, here's my last double crochet, and then the double crochet into the single crochet space, and then the single crochet into the next space, and then I have 2 single crochets. Actually, I have this single crochet, and then I have the other 2 single crochet, but we need these 2 single crochet for the next pattern. So I'm going to make a single crochet into the, skip this single crochet, and then make a single crochet into the next single crochet. So to make sure you have the right one, you can see that I have this single crochet and then the single crochet right before the spoke. So I'm going to make a single crochet into this single crochet. And then I'm going to go ahead and change colors back to the previous color that you used. So basically you're going to keep repeating these same patterns that I've already showed you until you have the length that you want for your dress. So I'm going to go ahead and just get you started with this same pattern that we used from the previous one to make sure that you've got it. Since I've already done this one twice, I'll make sure to do this one twice, and then you'll be able to work on your own. So after you join your color, go ahead and leave the loose yarn ends for now because we're going to bury those later. So you're going to skip that first single crochet and you're going to double triple crochet into the next stitch, which should be the double crochet on your spoke. So I'm just going to show you these stitches. So here's where we joined. You have the first single crochet before the spokes. So we're going to skip that single crochet and we're going to double triple crochet into that first double crochet from the previous round. So you're going to yarn over 3 times, and then you're going to skip that first single crochet and then go into the first double crochet of the stitch, bring up a loop, and then just yarn over and go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over and go through 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through the 2 remaining loops. Then we're going to make a treble crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to yarn over twice. You're going to go into the next double crochet in the previous round, bring up a loop, and then yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. Then you're going to chain 1. And then you're going to make a double crochet into the next double crochet on the spoke. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, actually not the next stitch, but the next double crochet from the previous round, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. Then go ahead and chain 1. Now you're going to single crochet into the next double crochet stitch, then chain 1. You're going to double crochet into the next double crochet stitch, make a chain of 1, single crochet into the next double crochet stitch, and then chain 1. Now you should have 2 double crochet stitches left from the previous round, and we're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to make a treble crochet into that last double crochet from the previous round. And then that brings you to that center piece that we're going to create like this, the double triple crochet cluster. So basically you're going to look at the stitches that you have before you get to your next spoke. And the first, after you complete your double triple crochet cluster, you're going to be making a stitch into the first double crochet. So go ahead and figure out the stitches that you have between. So here you can see that I have these 3 stitches here, and then you have a single crochet before the first double. Well, I'm going to center my double triple crochet cluster over my previous row's double triple crochet cluster. So I'm going to use these next 3 stitches to do that, and then I'll skip that last single crochet and work into the double crochet on the next spoke. So I'm going to work that with you. So the first thing you're going to do is yarn over 3 times, and then you're going to go into that next stitch, you're going to bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So you're going to leave 2 loops on the hook, then you're going to yarn over 3 times, 1, 2, 3, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, and then you're going to yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, and then you have 3 remaining loops on your hook. So then you yarn over 3 times, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So now I have 3 loops remaining. I'm going to yarn over and go through all 3 to complete my double triple crochet cluster stitch. Now you're going to skip that next single crochet and you're going to work into the first double crochet from the previous round. So now we're going to work a treble stitch into that first double crochet from the previous round. So yarn over twice, skip that next single crochet and work into the first double. So I worked a treble crochet in the first double, then you chain 1 and then make a double crochet into the next stitch, the double crochet. Actually, not the next stitch, the next double crochet on the previous round. Then you're going to chain 1, single crochet into the next double crochet on the spoke, chain 1, and then double crochet into the next double crochet stitch, chain 1 again, and then single crochet into the next double Then you're going to chain 1 again and then double crochet into the next double crochet on the spoke and then chain 1. And then you'll see how you're down to the last 2 double crochet on the spoke. And that's how you can know if you're following along correctly and making your stitches where they belong, because each double crochet on the spoke has the same pattern in it from the previous spoke. Then you're going to make a double crochet into the next double crochet from the previous round. Then you can chain 1 and then make a treble crochet into the next double crochet. Then that brings you to the center again. And just like before, you have the next spoke, you know that you're going to be working into the double crochet on that spoke. So everything in between is where you're going to place your double triple crochet cluster. So I want it to line up, so I'm going to go ahead and use these next 3 stitches for my double triple crochet cluster. So I'm going to go ahead, since you already know how to make this pattern now, go ahead and finish this round and then come back. So now I just wanted to show you my work. You can see the gorgeous ruffle that's being created at the bottom of the dress. This is the front of the dress. And then on the back, the same pattern and ruffly appearance on the back. So now I just finished my last double triple crochet cluster for the round, and I'm back to the beginning. So what I'm going to do is slip stitch into the top stitch of that first treble crochet to join the round, and then I'm going to go ahead and change colors. So now I'm going to go ahead and get you started for this next round. Basically, you're going to look at your crochet work, and you're going to see where you're going to place your next spoke design. So here you can see the previous rounds, how they're lining up. So here you could see where you placed your spoke. Just go up, and that would go into this chain 1 space. So you can see how they all lined up. So that would be this chain 1 space. So then you're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch over. Then you can chain 1 and then single crochet into the next stitch, and then chain 1 and then single crochet into the next stitch, and then that will bring you to the chain 1 space where you want to create your spoke. So you're going to make a treble, chain 1 treble 4 times into that spot. So I'm going to do that with you. So I'm going to yarn over twice for the treble, go into that next space, bring up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, go through 2, go through 2 to complete your treble, then chain 1, and then complete the treble, chain 1 for a total of 4 times, just like you've done for the previous rounds. And then you're just going to repeat the pattern just like you did for the previous rounds until you get the length that you want for your dress. So for mine, you can see how I finished 3 of the alternate colored rounds, and then I have 3 of the other color rounds, and I'm going to finish with this alternate color. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off after I slip stitch to join the round. So you can see how I made a slip stitch. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull enough yarn through to leave a long enough loose yarn end for burying into my work. Now I'm going to show you how to bury the loose yarn ends. But you can see how adorable this dress turned out. So now you're going to want to bury your loose yarn ends. I've already buried most of mine. Just take and put the loose yarn end onto your tapestry needle. And then you're just going to take and weave the loose yarn end through the wrong side of your work. I like to go a couple of directions to make sure it's nice and buried. That way your work doesn't come undone or your loose yarn end won't show. And then as soon as you bury it, you can go ahead and trim it. So go ahead and bury any of your loose yarn ends. This is what the large bunny looks like in her dress. If you like this large bunny, I have a separate video tutorial for this cute crochet large bunny rabbit. And I also have a free written pattern available on my blog, www.helenmaycrochet.com. I'm just going to show you around the rabbit. So this is what she looks like from behind. And her ears have craft wire in them, so they're malleable. You can bend them. This is what her dress looks like from behind.